Hey, welcome back to Crashing Out with Philip DeFranco and Alex Pearlman. And on this episode, we're talking about the Epstein Files, the MAGA Civil War, and the world's cringiest scandal. It's a bit of a ride.
It has been revealed this week that a cabal of deep state pedophiles were communicating to each other via email through a Gmail account run by Jeffrey Epstein. We have the emails. We have the connections. I have run out of string on my big board. The big board is back, everybody. We have updated the board. We have images. We have names. David Copperfield is there for some reason, the magician. Pam Bondi is there. Todd Blanche. Have you ever heard the name Todd Blanche? He's not from the Golden Girls. No, he is the personal lawyer to Donald J. Trump. The middle name is John, Donald John Trump. And was Donald Trump a John to Jeffrey Epstein? These are the questions. Who is Bubba? That has been a big question bubbling up all week. And my big question for Phil DeFranco, do you believe that Google, using AI Gemini, is scraping the Gmail account of Jeffrey Epstein to build a pedophile Ultron? Go, sir.
What just happened?
What happened is America. This is the moment we are in. These are legitimate questions that need to be asked to both the president and to Google, big tech, probably a series of airlines. Definitely not from Chuck Schumer, though.
I don't know. I can't
match the energy, buddy. You can do it.
I can't match the energy.
You can do it.
I have a little thing that I want to whip out at the beginning. Didn't know it was full.
No. Little things that are getting whipped out, that is between Bill Clinton and Donald Trump. Do not bring that in this direction right now. At one point this weekend, I just want to feel real fast. At one point this weekend, it was very heavily reported everywhere that the President of the United States might have been in a bisexual relationship with another former President of the United States. And then people on Facebook immediately said, no, Bubba is actually a horse. Like, that makes it better. There was a moment where people thought that the current President of the United States had sex with a horse. That's where we are, America. President Xi Jinping is currently laughing at us. He is the Chinese, Putin, probably Prince Andrew. He goes by Andrew Mountbatten Windsor. He's on the board right here. He's right here on the board. He's also in this picture with Jeffrey Epstein, Ghislaine Maxwell, Melania Trump, and Donald Trump. They're all on the board, folks. For our audio listeners, this is Alex Pearlman. This is not Alex Jones. RFK is there. There's a lot happening down here. But your thoughts here, Phil. People want to hear it from you.
I think that it was interesting to see the whole everyone go through the thing of like, oh yeah, he blew Bill Clinton. No, he blew a horse. Then people debating which would be worse.
Yeah,
which was more incriminating. And I think people landed on the horse. They were like, that's fine.
Well, and then actually, I do have him on the board. I'm going back to my actual human voice. At one point, people were saying Bubba is Jean-Luc Brunel, who was a model agency talent scout who had connection with Jeffrey Epstein, and there's other things because Donald Trump had modeling agencies and worked with them, and had Miss Teen USA and the Look of the Year pageant and others back in the 90s. So all these different things. So there's like weird connections in there, but it's very eyes wide shut party. The big thing that gets me, and the reason why I wanted to open with my Alex Jones voice, as much people have referenced, we have all lived through Pizzagate. Remember Pizzagate, Phil?
Mm-hmm.
Pizzagate was a moment where in 2016, WikiLeaks dumped a bunch of emails from the Hillary Clinton campaign. Everyone everywhere was going, oh my God, these are insane. And one of the things was a big part, and the reason why people QAnon formed and all this different stuff was based around this one email about, do you want to get a pizza? And people said that pizza, cheese pizza in particular, is code. That code is for child pornography, and they went down this whole entire list, and that spurned QAnon, all these different things. The reason I bring that up is I actually called you. I had a show in Washington, D.C. On Sunday night. Thank you to all the fans who came out to that. A lot of people afterwards said that they love Crashing Out. They heard about the show through there, and they just love it so much. But I called you to tell you about the fans, and I was driving on Connecticut Avenue, and all of a sudden I looked to my right, and there it was, Comet Ping Pong, the actual pizza place that was the center of the Pizzagate conspiracy, that doesn't even have a basement, that a man went into with a AR-15 and wanted to shoot up the place to free the children from the basement. because they read the tea leaves, and there are no tea leaves. We now have 20,000 emails, I think 1,800 of which mention the president repeatedly by name, of very well-connected men just straight up being like, bring girls to this place, please. And Jeffrey Epstein going, yes, sir, we can pedophile together over here. At one point, Jeffrey Epstein even says, no, it wasn't at the pedophile party. Like, what the fuck are we talking about?
Yeah, it is amazing that it's like we believe that everyone's speaking in code and like there's all this stuff happening, and he's just in the most boomer ass broken English, just writing like, hey, incriminating thing number 1 to incriminating person number 3.
Sent from my iPad. That was the part that kept getting me, is how many of them said sent from my iPad at the bottom. I was losing my mind. I haven't gone through all of them. I know people who have already set up like whole websites and like like they're doing data scraping. But that's the reason why I did the joke about the Ultron, because they just recently Google Gemini just said like, we are, unless you like turn off certain things, like we're gonna scrape emails so we can train our large language models more. And I'm like, don't do that. You don't know what people are saying in the background of these different things, because clearly we have names like Larry Summers, who was the former Treasury Secretary, I believe, under Obama, right? Obviously, Bill Clinton's name comes up a bunch of times, but there's all these different people, and some names, which ironically actually is what one of the things Donald Trump has been arguing. There are some people in there who were just emailing Jeffrey Epstein because they just dumped the entire file. This is the Epstein estate. They were just like, here's everything. We just hit download and print.
Well, I just, even that, it's like, obviously there are a lot of different situations for a lot of different people, but it's like you have one person like already being like, hey, I apologize, I was still talking to this guy. He's like removing himself from his position. Meanwhile, the president, who has been fighting as hard as he possibly can to make sure more files don't come out, he's just there. He's fine. He's had like a few people speak out against him, and now he's trying to act like he's actually for the files being released, even though he's going to pull some fucking insane bullshit. But
we all know he's for files, but it's just a matter of what you're going to put in front of that file. Thank you. This is the Alex works really, really hard to not get hit with with a lawsuit. It's libel if I say it out loud, or is it what's the other word for it? Anyway,
it's the bad stuff.
It's the bad stuff. But in general, let's look back at this. Let's look back at the timeline a little bit here on this, because I think that's the thing that people keep losing out. We can go back all the way back to their relationship in the 90s and the early 2000s, fine, whatever. We can speed through a bit of that. But in reality, if we go just to this year alone of where we were with these, with the Epstein list /files everything involved with this really popped off. It was June or July, out of nowhere, the FBI and the DOJ just said, there is no investigation, case closed, bye. We don't have any files, there's no list, bye. And that's what actually, the cover-up is the scandal. And I think that's what people are really getting away from, and that's part of what I think is, the people really, really love the Bubba thing from the weekend, right? People really love how funny it is, especially because Donald Trump has always been, I'm a real man.
My favorite thing, though, was that people were going like, hey, I don't even care if it's true. It's true to me. It's my right as an American. It's my right as an American to think he blew Bill Clinton.
If I ever get within shouting distance of the president, I will scream how Bubba's dick tastes. I will scream that at him. I will shout it. The Secret Service will drag me away. I don't give a shit because, number one, yes, 100% First Amendment. Number two, though, because of this president and because of also George W. Bush, do not forget about what George W. Bush and Dick Cheney and Fox News have done over the years. Because of this, we now live in a world where perception is reality. We don't perceive reality anymore. What we perceive in our own mind's eye is reality. Going back to Pizzagate, you had a series of people, including Marjorie Taylor Greene, who we'll get to later, who formed the idea of QAnon, the idea of Hero. Okay. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Our first, mommy and daddy are going to be fighting later, everybody. Just to let everybody know about this one in particular. Okay. My tent flaps are closed for Marjorie Taylor Greene. Anyway, in general, though, you have QAnon, this entire thing, which destroyed families. I have a belief. I have him here on the board. Steve Bannon is on the board because Steve Bannon was emailing Jeffrey Epstein as late as 2018. I mean, might have been even later than that. In 2018, Steve Bannon was emailing Jeffrey Epstein. He was emailing him about a Supreme Court nominee, Brett Kavanaugh, because Brett Kavanaugh was accused of sexually assaulting a woman, Blasey Ford, right? So Steve Bannon is emailing Jeffrey Epstein for advice on how to denigrate a witness so no one would believe that she had been sexually assaulted. Mm-hmm. Steve Bannon went to Jeffrey Epstein like Jeffrey Epstein was fucking Hannibal Lecter, like he was a specialist in this. And you know what Jeffrey Epstein said? Ask her about what medication she takes. Maybe it implanted false memories in her head. All these different things, and they went in that direction. Later, Jeffrey Epstein is texting a Democratic congressman, the delegate from the Virgin Islands, whose name I forget off the top of my head. But he's texting her while she was interviewing Michael Cohen, Trump's former lawyer and fixer, because they know each other. All of this, the interconnected in this is crazy. But going back to this idea of perception, I have a belief, my deepest conspiracy theory that I'll take to the grave is that Steve Bannon and Trump affiliates created the QAnon conspiracy to pin all of this on the left to completely hide the fact that there was an involvement of people on the right, especially around Donald Trump and his connection to Jeffrey Epstein. Because everybody knew. Inside these emails, we have a New York Times reporter and Michael Wolff repeatedly emailing Jeffrey Epstein saying, you have dirt on him. You can take him out. Right before the election, asking him, do you want to go live with information right now? You could stop him. We have Jeffrey Epstein reaching out to people, talking about trying to get a pardon, trying to get through all this. The connections there are crazy. It's insane. And is it everybody? No, it's not everybody. But the layers and the areas this moves through is so wild that you have to put it on a big board. And if you don't put it, and then you look at the big board, you know, your wife tells you to put it away, and then it starts talking to you like the Green Goblin mask. And you coward, show the board. But in general, there's just too much here. There, Howard Lutnick, his name comes up. He's currently the Secretary of Commerce. I mean, there's so many of them. Now, is every name in there definitely somebody who did pedophile shit with Jeffrey Epstein? No, because there's other people who are emailing him about just random fundraisers. There's other people who are like, oh, they're emailing him about his cover. His cover is that he's a financier. Right. And so it's like, because we haven't had a proper investigation, because everything hasn't been released, because of all these other different things, we're now stuck in a world of innuendo, which is why it felt so good for everyone to be like, yeah, he sucked Bill Clinton's dick. That feels...
I get freaked out, though, because I feel like... So it feels like there's something there, right? Without a doubt, I think that there is something there, many somethings there. But I do think that we are in this place of... we are all becoming conspiratorial. They have made us crazy. Like, it's not like it's just like we all decided to be like that on purpose. Like, you have... I was talking about in the last week, like, it feels like Trump's flip-flop on this is like a mix of not wanting to be embarrassed by the House vote, right? Him always saying, yeah, release the files. But also, I started kind of saying out loud, it feels like if there was an effort to try to minimize the impact on him or the people that I think that he is probably trying to protect, that he's been dragging his feet and buying his time to the point that he would be fine with the government being shut down. And now you have Mark Epstein talking to... By the way, Chris Cuomo looks like a freak with that mustache. Anyway.
Really insane timing to grow that type of mustache right now, Chris. Really crazy timing.
But you have Mark Epstein saying that he's heard that the Republicans have this facility where they're scrubbing names. And I'm like, of course this is going to be like, in my head, I could be like, that sounds like the craziest thing, but also... the way that Trump has acted has been the sketchiest and most guilty looking at every turn and corner. And so if there's only stuff about Democrats, if there's only stuff that doesn't impact him and his friends, or it's like very minimal, right? They decide to leave someone in the plane wreckage. He's handled this in a way where people can, I think, justifiably be like, they hid something. Something was afoot, even though... Right. Then because I have these conversations with myself like a psychopath. I'm like, these files have been there for so long. If there was a cover up, wouldn't it be so easy to expose? Wouldn't we hear all of a sudden whistleblowers? So I'm so fascinated to see what the hell is going to happen in the next few weeks. And the last thing before I give you the microphone back, I think that we came up just with our first bit of merch. I think FDT is 2020, HBDT is 2025 and on. How Bubba's dick tastes? ? I think that's the first merch that we can we can go with.
Oh man, okay, I'm down. I'm actually down for How's Bubba's dick taste.
I was like, it's dirty, but it's clean because it's just.
Or we could just go with Head of State. Either one. The Head of State was a good one. First Taste of the Presidency was a really, really good one. There were so many I've saw. I mean, listen. I can't claim those. This is just.
Okay.
But
I was like, it sounds like we're doing an oral office collection.
No. The How's Bubba dick taste though, that is mine. That's I came up with that one. That was mine, folks. Nobody's tasted Bubba's dick better. But the one thing I do want to say about in general with everything you just said. Yes, I completely agree with you. The reason why it's conspiratorial is because there is a conspiracy. We now actually know that there is a conspiracy. The conspiracy is of multiple layers of government and business who were in bed with basically the leader of an international pedophile ring. We know this. We have this information. That baseline is not to be argued with. The FBI and the DOJ said there was no conspiracy. Having all this information, they said there was no. That itself is a conspiracy. This is bigger than Watergate. Watergate was about a taped door. And then the president flipped out. Richard Nixon flipped the fuck out with a bunch of other different people. And the way him trying to cover that up is what caused the impeachment. Do I believe Donald Trump will be impeached? No, I don't believe Donald Trump will be impeached over this because he tried to overthrow the government live on camera. And he also did a bunch of other crazy shit last time. He's been impeached twice already. That's not going to happen. We're just at this point. The biggest thing that came out of this weekend is how many both Republicans, Democrats, and independents said, oh, he's a lame duck. He doesn't have the juice left. As I said, he spit it out. But the big thing that has to be noted with all of this is that they are fundamentally lazy. Everyone in the Trump circle is fundamentally lazy. Because I want everyone to think about this. It came out. We had 40 days of shutdown. 40 days. It's a biblical number. In the Bible, they say 40 repeatedly because it's such a big number that after that, it's just like, it was a while. That's just the number they use in the Bible. That's why it's 40 days in the desert, 40 years in the desert, 40 days, blah, 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 all the different shit. We had 40 days of government shutdown. During that time, Donald Trump could have been pushing on Lauren Boebert, MTG, and Nancy Mace. Those were the three that he thought were the weakest that would flip on taking their names off the discharge petition. He could have worked them for 40 days. He didn't. He waited until the Democrats caved, till Chuck Schumer couldn't figure out where his belt was. And then in the seconds after that, when they finally swore in that congresswoman after 5 weeks of her sitting on the sideline waiting to take the office that was her father's before her, during that time, in those hours, he flipped out and pushed so hard on Boebert. He went after Lauren Boebert, a woman who jerked a man off in a Beetlejuice premiere. Just remember that. Do you remember that?
Are you saying this is a negative or a positive?
I'm just saying that we need the context, okay? We need the context. He went to her and he went at her so hard about how he wanted her to take her name off the discharge petition. He wanted to drop the Epstein stuff, all this different stuff that Lauren went from, oh, I don't know, but I said I was going to do this to there has to be something here. The cover up is so strong that it has pushed his people out. And everyone's going, this is really, really weird. And I think that the laziness of them is so inherent. Remember the first phase of the Epstein Files where they had all those influencers, Libs of TikTok, DC Drano, Jack Posobiec or Posobiec. I don't know how to say it. He's a dick and I hate him. All of those people holding up those empty binders. Oh, we're going to get more. This is phase one. They tried to treat it like a Marvel movie. Mm-hmm. This is phase one. They thought they could grift through this in the lazy grifts that they've been doing. This isn't a new Trump coin. This isn't a Donald Trump teddy bear. This isn't Trump steaks. This is Trump University all over again. And somebody is going to take a fall. It's not going to be Trump, but I think the question that everybody in his orbit needs to ask is how many of us is this going to take down?
Hey, we'll get right back to crashing out in a second, but first let me say, have you ever gotten a bill from a company that you barely remember signing up for and think, wait, how do they even have my information? Because yeah, it happens constantly, and that's where today's sponsor, Incogni, comes in, the service that fights back against the companies quietly trading your personal data behind the scenes. I mean, just ask the 35,000 people caught up in the recent Verisure billing partner breach. Their names, emails, home addresses, even social security numbers leaked because of a company they'd never heard of. And that's the scary part. Your data is just sitting on servers that you've never interacted with, waiting to get exposed. But Incogni, they fix that by automatically contacting data brokers, the ones buying and selling your information, and forcing them to delete it. In their custom removal feature, it also lets you flag specific sites or listings that you find online, and their privacy agents handle the takedown. It's like having a digital cleanup crew working 24/7 to protect your data. I use it myself. I set it up once, and now I just get updates while Incogni quietly handles the rest. So hey, it's time to take control of your digital footprint. Just scan that QR code or go to incogni.com/crashingout and use code crashingout for 60% off. Or that's incogni.com/crashingout, code crashingout for 60% off, because if they can't find you, they can't exploit you. Okay, but Alex, going back to the whole situation, I do want to talk about Marjorie Taylor Greene, because I saw your post where you said, liberals, you do not gotta hand it to MTG. Let them fight. Enjoy the show. Do not help. Grow a spine and a long-term memory. And then there were a bunch of tweets where you you were not the biggest MTG fan. And I have what is going to be, even with it and it's being an attempt to have a nuanced argument, is going to be probably a losing argument with our audience. And that is, I think to a certain degree, you have to give some credit. I'm not saying the thing where you've had people going like, let her into the Dem party. Because the truth of the matter is, Marjorie Taylor Greene is actually more to the right than President Trump, right? She is correct on her stance on the Epstein issue. She has shown something that's interesting in being like, I have fueled toxic politics, and I apologize and I address that. Like there's that, but a lot of the ways that Donald Trump is being hit outside of the Epstein situation from people on the right is actually because he's not right enough. He's been getting hit on like the H-1B situation. He's like, so as far as the Epstein of it all, even though I detest Mace, MTG, Boebert, we wouldn't be where we are today as far as the Epstein Files release situation without them. And so I think I have to at least go, hey, there was that.
Oh, I'll give them that. I'll give them the bare minimum of putting your name on a document. I'll give you that. I will give them. And
the bar is that low now. The
bar is in hell.
Now.
The bar is in hell. It's in Satan's mouth in the 7th level, okay? I'll give them the baseline of good job on doing, I would say, less than the bare minimum. You did support a man in those files 6 times, because you got to count the primaries. But, Phil, what I will say, because also I could say the same thing about Thomas Massie. I also hate Thomas Massie. A lot of people forget that Thomas Massie is the man who posed with his children holding AR-15s in a Christmas card. Mm-hmm. That is referenced in a Haley Williams song. That's very, very good. It's not the picture, the song. The Haley Williams album is really good. I listen to it all the time. But the thing that's driving me crazy is we see this all the time, especially from, I like to use the term centrist Democrats. Mm-hmm. And there's a thing you and I haven't really talked about it too much, but there's a thing that happens on the internet where if a MAGA person is yelling at somebody, they're liberal. But on the left, there's centrist, there's liberal, there's leftist. I gotta get the order right. We're gonna start. Okay, if I'm moving right, because I'm doing this in a mirror, so I'm trying to figure out how to do this the right way. But we'll start in the center as a centrist. That's kind of more like your Joe Biden-ish type of person. But more specifically, really, is actually your John Fetterman, your Kristen Sinema, your Joe Manchin. That's a centrist. Okay. Then you have liberals. I would argue that's probably closer to your Kamala Harris, your Joe Biden, your Gavin Newsom, maybe, and your Josh Shapiro in there. Then you start to get into Democratic Socialist area, which is your Bernies, your AOC. Then you start to get in your true socialists, which we don't really have any of in the federal government. Then you get into the, quote, leftist, which is a collection of, for the most part, people who exist in internet comment sections who love to scream at me repeatedly. That is usually where I live, okay? That's where I hang out in. And the thing is, what's crazy is all of these on the left, all of these different aspects, these different flavors of left, all actually are infighting at all times and doing all those different things. And one thing that the centrists do repeatedly, the centrists and the more centrist liberals, corporate Dems do, is they always make more room for Republicans than they do to make more room for somebody further down the line. Because what they're looking at is the idea of, if we can bring in more people on the right, then we'll save corporate sponsors, and then we can keep the fundraising money, so then we can keep working towards some of these other different goals. My issue is completely in that. You and I met in person for the first time at the 2024 DNC. There's a memory that I know you have burned in your head of the two of us sitting up in the nosebleeds, and Adam Kinzinger, the Republican congressman, Adam Kinzinger, who was part of the January 6th committee, who Donald Trump hated, who then had to drop out because he knew it wasn't going to get anywhere because Donald Trump targeted him so bad. They had Adam Kinzinger speak at the DNC. The 2024 DNC in Chicago. And Adam Kinzinger got on stage at the Democratic National Convention and praised Ronald Reagan. And I just started violently booing. I booed so hard that NBC thought that they needed to call security. You were shocked. Everyone was like, wait, why are you booing? I was booing because at that moment, Jimmy Carter was still alive. And Jimmy Carter was a president. Jimmy Carter was a Democratic president. There is no room to cheer Ronald Reagan inside the Democratic Party. And what drives me so fucking crazy is we had Hakeem Jeffries tweet. He said, Marjorie Taylor Greene is crushing Donald Trump right now. Thank you for your attention to this matter. You never tweeted once about Zohran Mamdani. He was your fucking Democratic nominee for president of a city you fucking live in. But you'll jump out and go, oh, look at Marge. We had Jamie Raskin, a man who I've met briefly at a No Kings rally. Jamie Raskin got up, the congressman from Maryland, and he said this at a Florida fundraiser. He said, quote, let me just say a couple more things to you, great Florida Democrats. One of them is that we are a big tent. We must be a huge, vast tent. I say this is a party that's got room for Marjorie Taylor Greene if she wants to come over. No, it doesn't. Close those fucking flaps. Do not let her in. I don't want to get crop dusted by Marjorie Taylor Greene inside a fucking tent, okay? This is a psychopath lady. We're gonna roll footage right now as I'm yelling, silent footage of Marjorie Taylor Greene with a 50 cal rifle, screaming about Joe Biden, shooting a car full of tannerite that has socialism sprayed on the side as the car explodes. We're gonna play footage of Marjorie Taylor Greene with an automatic machine gun, screaming about how she's gonna take out transgender ideology. If you let her into the tent, she is gonna blow up the fucking tent. This is the same exact thing that happened with them bringing in Liz Cheney. This is the same exact thing that has happened time and time again, where they Democrats desperately want their Republican uncles to love them and be cool. It's what happened with John Fetterman's fucking brain damage. His dad is a goddamn Republican, and his dad praises him every time he goes on Fox and says a Republican talking point. It's the same shit. You are losing young people on the left. You are giving up and ceding these areas. I completely agree that should she be applauded. Here we go. Marjorie, there you go. That's the applause you get for doing the one right thing, because the reason she's doing it is because it was her brand. Her brand. Lauren Boebert's brand. Thomas Massey's brand.
Yeah.
I'm going to. All of them stood up there on the QAnon ticket. We're here to expose deep state pedophiles, a secret cabal of financiers and others, and all these different people. So if she was to flip now, then she is Lindsey Graham. And she has built an entire profile on being not Lindsey Graham. She's built an entire profile on being an outsider, being different from all these different people, while at the same exact time being Donald Trump's biggest supporter. And so right now, in this moment, she is in a breaking point. She also, and all of these people realize, is the thing we keep reminding our listeners, Donald Trump is 79 years old. At some point within the next, I'm going to say 20 years, we will live in a world without Donald Trump. And most of these people expect to be alive and possibly in office after that. There will be a reckoning. There was a reckoning after Nixon. There was a reckoning after George W. Bush. There's been a reckoning after all of these different presidencies, especially when they have major scandals like this. And so all of them are looking of how can I say that I was a little bit different after this while also trying to survive right now.
It could be that. I just there is a certain thing when I look at Marjorie Taylor Greene, and I get it when I look at certain other people, and these are people that I greatly disagree with on so many things, and am horrified on a number of things. I believe that she is a true ideologue. I think that she believes a certain thing. Donald Trump does not. I think MAGA and like that whole thing has been Donald Trump. Almost everything he does is what can I do to further my interests and my billionaire buddy interests, right? And if I can try and convince Joe Blow, Americana, that I'm for him and that I'm going to push these populist things, and I get to use him as a hammer. If I get to use the Christian right as a hammer, that I'll say a few things. And I think especially when you look at the Christian right, there's a lot that realize he's not. A lot of the things that he's tried to say as far as a religious man, and that he's a tool. But I believe that Marjorie Taylor Greene has her beliefs, and this is her sticking to it. And as far as the one right thing, the reason you don't see more people doing this, the reason it took just a few people, is that any Republican that has spoken out against Donald Trump or voted against him. We very quickly say former representative. We very quickly, say like former senator. And so, but I do understand what you're saying as well, as far as the calculus. Maybe she is that sort of smart person as far as figuring out how to navigate it. But we live in a time where people don't say sorry. We live in a time where it's like that is a weakness. So I've been thrown off. I'm not saying that March is joining. I'm just saying
calculation. It's all calculation. Okay. I'm telling you, I that's just what I feel on this, because she's giving up a lot of the game right now as well to nuke a lot of this. People keep forgetting Marjorie Taylor Greene and Nick Fuentes. Who I
also got to throw in. I know that this is a losing argument with
that's fine.
with this crowd. Yeah,
but the thing is though, that's fine, and I'm glad you actually are taking the side, because I'm seeing it out there. And we need to have these conversations so that way everyone's about to go to their Thanksgiving table. A lot of our listeners have MSNBC parents who are going to be like, well, I don't know, maybe Marge is one of the good ones. Now I'm giving you ammo. Marjorie Taylor Greene spoke at an America First PAC rally. She and Paul Gosar were the only two people to go to a Nick Fuentes rally. Marjorie Taylor Greene is a Nazi. I want to be clear about that. AOC... I met AOC in 2024. She came on, I did a TikTok with her. Yeah. And I told him, I was like, I'm going to ask you, like, what was harder, working a brunch or working with Marjorie Taylor Greene? And she looked at me dead in the eye. She said, AOC is a Nazi. And I almost stopped, because I was like, on TikTok, you have to say Yahtzee? I didn't. I was like, it's AOC. I can't stop her. But after that, looking at everything that she's gone down, the only thing that she believes in is how to further herself. She wanted to run for the Senate. She wanted to keep growing her brand. She also is very in touch with the actual foot soldiers of MAGA. She is down there in the trenches. She's in her district in Georgia. She is holding town halls and things like that. People are calling her office. She is also in heavily with that Nazi crowd. She knows who they are. She's listening to Nick Fuentes. She's listening to his supporters. She's listening to all these other different people who have these connections. And she knows that is truly the base, the absolute bottom base.
Well, she is
of that side.
I think that's where we're going to see a lot of the switching, if we're going to say that, is the switching from MAGA to just the title America First.
That's
right?
100% what they're doing. Yeah, that's the rebranding.
Once again, I want to get across. I'm not saying bring Marge into the Dem Party. Just so we're on the same page. Yeah, I'm not for you. I'm just saying.
Oh, for the
I can already see the comments.
No, that's fine. That's fine.
But
Phil DeFranco.
But I'm gonna dig further in the hole. I do think that for relatives and everyday people, I don't care if you have to fucking lie. Maybe lie to yourself at first. Be open to allowing people back in after having made a bad decision in 2024.
I will say this is the length of decisions need to at least be close to the time frame after their apology. So she apologized last week. She's been doing this shit since 2018, right? We got 7 years of Marjorie Taylor Greene being a fucking psycho, chasing David Hogg down the street, saying that the Parkland shooting didn't actually happen, posting there are only two genders on the wall while screaming at different people. We've had her, she's apologizing for this stuff to clean the slate. This is the same thing when you deal with, like, if anyone's ever had a relative who suddenly gets saved, and then you bring up all the shit they did last year. That's old. That was before I got dunked in the water. This is just that same shit over and over and over again. I've seen this happen with fucking people who get sober. I've seen this happen with people who change religions. This is all of that different things. She is just rebaptizing herself now as America First. She is still the Jewish space laser lady. She's still all these other different things. And yeah, sure, she hasn't taken AIPAC money, but that's because they're like, she is a different level of fucking crazy. That's just part of where this whole thing comes from. And so I'm so fucking, I get mad, especially at leadership. Jamie Raskin and Hakeem Jeffries should know better. That's the part that really fucking gets me. And I'm seeing more of like the MSNBC style pundits. They should fucking know better. They're looking at a short-term alliance that will only come to bite them in the ass later. And what they're doing, the same way these people who keep posting Nick Fuentes clips are doing, you're just platforming her and putting her in front of a bigger and bigger audience. She's doing the tour on The View. I saw people on Twitter being like, because of the shutdown, the plane shutdown stuff. They're like, she had to take the train from Washington, D.C. to New York. She was like, oh, I've never ridden the train. Like, the train's really nice. And then suddenly people are like, oh, Marjorie Taylor Greene might get us train funding. She's not, okay? People like Marjorie Taylor Greene traditionally like trains for one purpose, all right? And it's not to have a good time on Amtrak and eating a chili dog.
Yeah, my main thing on this topic is, as far as everyday people, especially, you're going to, your Thanksgivings are going to be different than mine. I am going to be going to a 50-50 Thanksgiving of like where people stand. I think it's going to be fine. And they are the kind. This is not Lindsay's part of the family. This is extended. On my dad's side, there's a portion that is very like all or nothing. Like they're going to be in no matter what, everything. So it's going to be interesting. But if you have someone that's questioning and going, oh, this isn't what I was thinking, I think we have to leave the door open. Like I saw this video of North Carolina, I guess, Latino guy. He voted for Trump in 2024. He's like, I regret my vote. I didn't expect DHS agents to harass me simply for being Latino. I understand why there are so many people that are commenting on that, like, oh no, the leopards ate my face.
Oh no, it's almost as if there were signs. There were literal signs. There were billboards. Yeah, no, I know.
But I do think we need to find an area to be like, okay, how do I not lock that person in? Because we see a version of this anytime, or not anytime, a lot of the times when people got canceled, right? Where the only people that would be open to them and accept them were people on the right. And then we were like, I can't believe they went down this crazy rabbit hole and they become this shell of themselves that spout insane things. Like, even that is like, I'm not looking down on anyone that isn't. I am also actively trying to be like, I gotta open my heart, because there have been times I've made bad decisions. There have been times that I've probably been cruel. And I don't know, that's a battle that I have as well. So that's where I want to open it up. I'm not saying Marjorie Taylor Greene's our fucking greatest warrior.
No, I know. And thank you for trying so hard to turn those comments back around on you. But those comments are going to come in hard and tight. But listen, guys, if you're thinking about typing Phil DeFranco is secretly MAGA the entire time, just like Taylor Swift, don't do that. Instead, ask us questions or anything that you'd like us to react to on the next episode, because that's what we like to do. We didn't have any this week, so we're gonna stick to the big topics right now.
You scratch a liberal, you make a fascist bleed.
That's exactly what happens. And honestly, folks, they're all tied together. I look at the Democrats and Republicans. Look at them all down here in the corner. What is the president of the United States doing to the former president right there? What's that happening down here in the corner? Look over here. We got British royalty. I thought presidents were against kings. But here we are, Prince Andrew standing next to Donald Trump. We got so many different things happening over here. What happened to the list, Pam Bondi? Pam Bondi, Florida lawyer, just like Alex Acosta, who gave Jeffrey Epstein a sweetheart deal, and then Todd Blanche, another lawyer who let Ghislaine Maxwell play with puppies for the dog who didn't bark.
Anyway, that was a lot of tied in there. But no, I agree. I just want to, real fast, to tie off what you were saying. I do agree that we do need to have grace and an area for people to be able to get off the Trump train and to also discover and take a moment to discover where they are on the map, because they think they're getting off in certain exits. They don't know. They don't quite know what's going on. They don't know where those things are. And this is a big thing that happened in 2020 where a lot of people will be like, I want to know more about this. And people get into the comments and go, it's not my job to educate you. There has to be a place and a way to help people with deprogramming a lot of the things that they had, but also how to frame that. And I don't believe that actually is going to come specifically from our generation. I think it's going to come more from people who are younger than us, because as somebody who's 41, I didn't go to Zoom school, right? I didn't have the COVID was a big effect, but it didn't I didn't lose my prom because of that. I did not go to my high school graduation because of that. I didn't sit watching all these streamers all day, having them fall for propaganda at the level, these different things. It's a different viewpoint, and they have a different cultural touchstone for it. And I think that looking more to younger people, we do need to have, I'm not saying kids, I'm saying younger people in general. I don't know where that cutoff is. There needs to be an option in there and how we can kind of talk about this and work about this. But when it comes to somebody, and I'm going to keep saying, who voted for Trump 6 times, because we keep leaving out primaries. People be like, he voted for him 3 times. There are primaries. You supported him through a primary as well. All these different things. If January 6th wasn't a good enough area for you to step off, if everything else that's happened since then, 34 convictions, 2 impeachments, if the Epstein list is the thing that made you finally step off, that's great. And we do need to make sure that once they step off from the MAGA train, they don't just hop right on to a lot of insane xenophobia we're seeing. And the place we're really seeing that is on the internet. Where I'm not seeing that is in real life. And I actually did something, this is my hope spot. I did something last week that was really brought a lot of joy to me, which is I went and supported Phil Abundance, which is a local food bank in my area. Phil Abundance handles not just Philadelphia, but also just kind of the general region, all the counties, both in New Jersey and Delaware and in the counties around Philadelphia. It's really the Southeast PA tri-state area food bank and all the things they did. But it was there on behalf of WMMR. They do a thing. It's our local radio station. It's called Camp Out for Hunger, and it was Preston and Steve morning show. We recently in Philadelphia lost a very big radio DJ named Pierre Robert. He'd been there for like 30 years. They did a supercut of him talking, closing out a bunch of these things, and I was listening to it, and he really, really nailed it on a specific thing. When it comes down to hunger, when it comes down to the things we all need to survive and get through our day, there's no party there. There is no politics there. When it comes down to somebody is hungry and they need to get fed, that isn't, what are we talking about here? What are we doing? And inside the tent, they're the people who are coming together to drop off food, to raise money, to raise awareness, to do all these different things. I didn't know anybody's politics. I didn't know anybody's religion. I didn't know anybody's anything. We were just a group of people coming together to make sure that we weren't stepping over hungry people on our streets, especially when it comes to Thanksgiving. I'm going to do more with them in early next year, because I told them they have this big push around Thanksgiving for all charities. Thanksgiving, Christmas, all these times, that's when they get their big push. After that, the money kind of falls off a little bit. In those moments, though, these are the types of things where you can show through your actions and show through these organizations to give people an off-ramp, because a lot of the people who have gotten super obsessed with QAnon, with those weird racist shit, even with streamers who are crazy. And I'm not going to name names because then they all show up. They brigade. But in general, with all those things, when I read into all those, you know what I see? I say people who don't have anything to do to put their phone down for. They don't have a club to go join in. They don't have people to talk to in real life. There's a level of loneliness, and that loneliness is being filled. The dopamine receptor is being filled by when people like methadone. It's working like methadone instead of like actually getting that real juice of getting a real hug from somebody, of getting a real handshake. And I think that's where the difference is. And that's where we make a change.
Okay, but Alex, the last thing today, I'm like, how do we transition to this? Have you seen any of this Ryan, Lizzie, Olivia, Nuzzi, this whole situation? I clicked on one thing. Journalist Twitter has like taken over my entire feed. Everyone's losing their damn mind in this bubble. I don't know how widespread this is right now.
Yeah, so I know of it because of my deep, ever-loving hatred of RFK Jr. And this is the thing that took out his campaign. This was one of the final things that did it. It was his digital lover, Olivia Nuzzi, is releasing a book. And in this book memoir, she talks a lot about her affair that she had from her perspective with RFK Jr. It was, in RFK's words, and I believe in hers as well, it was never physical. It was always via text and the phone and other things, but it was an emotional affair. And I have some theories of what that looks like.
Yeah, I'm like the emotional. I mean, based off of some of the stuff that I'm seeing from these excerpts, I don't know if we get to say emotional. It definitely, if we can't say that they didn't touch, but it's not like they were just texting like little hearts. So I wanna, where we'll start this is not even like the reason this is breaking. There were excerpts from her book that have come out, which is very RFK Jr. focused, right? And I just want to start off by saying the biggest thing that's exposed to me is that apparently you can like thrive in this industry and at the same time be a horrible writer. This is this is one of the parts that she wrote. I'm just going to read it here about RFK Jr. Like all men, but more so, he was a hunter. In a literal sense, he used not a bullet, but a bird. It was not about a chase, but about a puzzle of logic and skill that amounted to a test of his self-mastery. He was the mouse and the architect of his maze, the giver of his own pleasure and torment. He desired desiring. He desired being desired. He desired desire itself. I understood this just as I came to understand the range of his kinks and complexes and how they fit within what I thought I understood of his soul. The desired section made me felt like I was like, oh, this is a Tumblr post. This is a 14-year-old girl's Tumblr post.
This is bad AO3. This is bad. This would get banned from literotica.com. There are, how many / websites do I need to list right now to have the comment section go, oh, he knows. Real quick, and what you were talking about here, because we didn't mention her resume. She was a correspondent for New York Magazine from 2017 to 2024 and a writer for the Daily Beast. And now she is currently the West Coast editor of Vanity Fair magazine.
Yeah,
like right now, as of recording, because we don't know what's going to happen with that now that this has been released. But she's a bad writer. She's just bad. She just
I have seen people saying like if she still has this job at the end of the week, like just burn down the whole industry.
It's a difficult thing to talk about because this is one of those things where women have strived for how many years to move forward in political journalism, to only have a talentless hack like Olivia Nuzzi to be in the background, apparently literally sleeping her way with at least one, and then we just found out possibly two different presidential contenders, or at least having some sort of sexual affair in this. And this is just going to muddy the waters for other people. I mean, we just had, not to tie everything back together, but this morning it was released. The president was being asked about, was there anything incriminating about him in the Epstein Files? And he pointed directly into a woman's face and said, quiet, piggy. This is the same world we're living in where we have women who are trying to get to the truth. And then you have Olivia Nuzzi over here.
But the reason we're talking about it, and you referenced it, the reason we're talking about Olivia today is because I guess her ex, Ryan Lizza, wrote out a piece, and it ends it ends with him saying, we have a big problem. I said, Olivia is sleeping with Mark Sanford. And then fucking journalist Mike Twitter drop. Was like, ah!
And the thing is I've read the excerpts that have been screenshots that have been posted from Olivia Nuzzi's thing, and they are so bad that I actually thought they were fake. They reminded me very much of the JD Vance couch fucking incident, or I don't know if you remember this one, Phil. Guerrilla TV at the White House when Trump first got elected. Do you remember
No, I don't
Gorilla
remember
TV?
No.
There was this crazy thing that somebody wrote. It was a screenshot, and it was about Trump grunting and saying, "Put on Gorilla TV," and he had this like rich person channel of just gorillas like beating up stuff. And it was it was very well written and funny, but a lot of people thought it was true. And then somebody had to come out and be like, I made that up. Come on. That was so clearly fake. Her writing so bad. But then the Ryan Lizzie, is that what his name is?
Liza.
Ryan Lizza's thing, who again is another writer, and he was canceled in Me Too, I believe, back in like 2017 or something like that. Around the time I read his thing, it was too long. It was better written though. And the reveal, the way his thing is written is so you think the whole time she's talking about this guy with a presidential campaign. He's going up against a sitting president. It reads like it's RFK the entire time. At the very end, you find out it's Mark Sanford, the disgraced, I think, South Carolina governor, who in 2020 was running in the Republican primary against Donald Trump because he thought that he could get together at least a coalition, or at least make some money off the Never Trump wing of that party. So when there's a reveal, and this was part one of his Substack, because guys, big things are happening on Substack. They still have Nazis over there. It's great. I'm a Patreon girly. Go to pearlmania500.net.
I keep telling myself I'm going to start a Substack and do like a once a month post, and then I think about how much work it could be, and then I'm like, nah, I'm good.
Yeah, I know a lot of them are ChatGPT anyway. So I mean, that's the thing is when I look into it sometimes, there's some weird shit with Substack. I'm not a fan. If you guys enjoy it, great, have fun. That's awesome. I'm never gonna be over there. That's gonna make my manager mad. The amount of times Substack has shown up and been like, truck full of money, please post, and I'm like, no,
really?
Delete the Nazis. Oh yeah. I was like, delete the Nazis.
Can your manager get in touch with me?
Yeah, they just showed there wheelbarrow, and I was like, no. Stuart Rhodes still has a channel on your site. Delete it. He's a January 6th guy who is now currently wearing a Paper Beats Rock.
Hey man, I got a January 6th guy in my neighborhood. I wave to him when I'm walking my dog.
Oh really?
I don't think he knows I know he's a January 6th guy, but
man, that's crazy. Oh. I wonder if they have to. I guess they don't have, because they got the pardon. January 6 guys don't have to go door to door and be like, hey, just so you know,
I stormed the Capitol.
I stole a cop's pepper spray and got 4 of them. But that was actually AI, and I'm probably Israel. But yeah, that's though I do want to point to this one thing because I saw it referenced. It was a tweet that Olivia Nuzzi posted from 2018, and we'll throw it up on the screen. Actually, it was from 2015. January 19th, 2015, she tweeted, why does Hollywood think female reporters sleep with their sources, while pointing to what was the show?
House of Cards. Yeah.
Utterly deathless tweet right there. 10 years old, almost old enough to make.
So
it
I
into
think
the files.
on that note, right? I think a big thing to hit on is the fact that it's like we have to look at these people as individuals and not as like representative of the rest of the industry. Because I know there are going to be a lot of people that try to go like, see. And it's like, come on.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But it's the same thing with the New York Times reporter with Epstein. The New York Times reporter and Michael Wolff, both of which were doing more than reporting. They were actually offering advice to him on how to blackmail him.
The Michael Wolff thing seems way sketchier to me. When he was asked about it, he seemed so defensive. And I was like, I mean, I understand that there's probably, I'm not in that world, like that level of world of being involved. But when I talk to people, I try to have like no opinion, no take, like this is transactional in nature. Give me like the fucking, and I know that's not how you end up writing a book about someone. I know that's not how but I was like, that smelled of, not me saying, smelled of almost being a partner or accomplice in some sort of venture.
And Michael Wolff, didn't he write a book about the first Trump White House that had like a lot of connections in there? I think it was Fire and Fury inside the Trump White House. And a lot of people were like, how the hell did he get that? Well, I mean, like, here he is texting Epstein the entire time and having inner workings inside of the White House. I'm just add it to the board. Fucking add it to the board.
It makes me wonder how much of like deep journalism is just being a messy bitch that jots shit down.
Well, I think that is okay. So the one thing I'll point to is I mean, look at Hunter S. Thompson, look at some of these other different guys, Gonzo journalism and those things of how those have expanded over the years. But we are in an age, we're in a post-blogger age, right? And being a content creator who does current events and commentary myself, like I get, I talk to politicians, I talk to celebrities, these different types of things. I'm DMing, mutuals, some of which could end up being in the news someday. And it's like, where is that connection in those things? And I think that there has been, for a very long time, there's been this idea that reporters were the guy with the press pass in their hat with the big flash bulbs coming through and then running, to a payphone to make a call. But we're in a post-blogger area. We're in a YouTuber area. We're in a Twitch streamer area. We're in a TikToker era. And I think the connections of like pretending that a lot of reporters don't get stuff on background, aren't making choices. How much of it is editorial, the editors, and all these different things. I just keep thinking about like Truman Capote and those guys from back in the day. Like this is actually similar in both the case of Olivia Nuzzi and in the case of Michael Wolff and this New York Times reporter. Like it's not everyone. It is not everyone, but this is a thing that has happened, forever when writing about stuff. People have a bias. And I think that is one thing that really people should keep in mind. This would be such a good place for if we had, what was that, a sponsorship from that one place that does the bias meter?
Ground News.
Ground News. News, you watching? Because this is where you actually should understand your fucking bias on this. And this is the exact type of thing that that people need to understand. Like Michael Wolff obviously wrote his book from a biased standpoint, and you should read that with a grain in the back of your mind. There's been an idea since the early 2000s that you can get unbiased, sources of news. The whole thing with AI right now, they're pushing Grok is going to be unbiased. ChatGPT, it's pulling the raw data. It's going to have a bias. It's going to be programmed by human hands, and it's going to be pulling from certain areas, and those things are going to have a bias. It's all a matter of what you, the end viewer, are going to perceive to make your reality. And I tied together the whole episode. Look at that.
You're just so proud of yourself. Yeah, no, I mean that's a thing that we do on the show is I try to separate my opinion. And I think people understand that I'm a left of center guy. But it's, I at least I try to separate it because I do hope that there can be baby steps towards having that base understanding of what is true versus what is not. Because I mean, sometimes language can be very helpful, and then sometimes it pushes everyone to one side really quick. But I don't know. I will also say I have I know that whenever you talk to me about like, oh, I talked to a reporter, I'm like, maybe I'll go and be in a different headspace, just based off of my experience. Even though like I defend a lot of them, I don't trust reporters.
Can I tell you, I'm terrible when I talk to reporters. So I got a call. Every time I call, they're like, yeah, we want to call, get you a quote about this. I'm like, cool. 45 minutes later, they're like, what did I call you about? I'm like, no, you need to understand, man. Larry Ellison bought Paramount because he wants to control Star Trek. So that way we don't have a positive view of the future. Yeah. And they're like, what the fuck? It's about having conversations. It's about there is a level of trust you have to take because you don't know how the sentences are going to be put out there. And this is a big thing when dealing with having those. Like I've been learning a lot when it comes to media training. Media training is crazy.
Also record your side. I don't know what the state law is for you, but it's like always record your side.
It's two-party consent in Pennsylvania.
Okay.
So
just make aware. But yeah.
Yeah. I got to figure out. I'm going to get one of them apps. I'm going to get one of them apps on my
phone.
like,
I have a thing, but apparently it has too much automation and some people got angry.
Oh, okay. I want it. But yeah, that's fine. That sounds, I'm going to listen up, reporters. I'm going to start recording you. Yeah. Also,
you just point to this. You're like, I said it in the episode.
Yeah. I said I'm going to do it. And now for any reporter that calls me, two-party consent in Pennsylvania. And if you wrong me, you go on the board. Okay? You hear me?
Right next to RFK Jr. or Bubba.
And he's Prince Andrew is now Andrew Mountbatten Windsor because they took his title away. It's crazy that he's so deep in the Epstein list and the emails that they were like, stop giving him public housing. But this guy, he can just tear down the East Wing. That's crazy.
I mean, if anyone looks sketchy and everything, it's definitely Prince Andrew. Well, I guess not Prince Andrew. the former Prince Andrew.
Yeah. Yeah, the pedophile formerly known as Prince.
Allegedly.
I don't think there's any alleged on that one.
I don't know. I don't care. He could be convicted. I'd be like, allegedly. I don't want to. I don't know. I haven't seen.
But Phil, it's been a fun time hanging out with you, me, the board, and crashing out with all of the fans this week. We'll be back next week with a whole new list of things to crash out about because, as we realized last week, we were like, oh, the story's going to be the government shutdown. And by Friday, people thought that Donald Trump sucked Bill Clinton's dick. So here we are, crashing out. Follow us, 5 stars, like, subscribe, and comment.